Raider Nation, what's going on? Today's Raiders Report is brought to you by our good friends, BetDSI. I got news, I got rumors, I got a lot on tap, and I even got a new segment for the people who are subscribers to the Oakland Raiders Report. So let's get into some Oakland Raiders news, and we're kicking it off with some breaking news that just came in before the show, and it's Donald Penn to the IR. So the Raiders are placing the starting right tackle on IR due to a groin injury. Penn went down in the middle of the game against the Browns this past Sunday. Now, rookie Brandon Parker, he's going to be called into action. The Raiders are going to need Parker and the rest of that offensive line to really step up. So, Raider Nation, I want to know from you guys, because I think Brandon Parker was a guy who I did like a lot when he was first coming out and like when he came out in the draft. He's a guy from a small school, and he's a guy who, well, he doesn't have all too much experience. So, I want to know from you, are you confident in Brandon Parker? He's got big shoes to fill with Penn, and sure, Penn might have been struggling here and there, but still, Penn is a reliable veteran, and that Raiders offensive line, I thought, did play pretty well against the Browns. But hey, are you confident in Brandon Parker? Please comment below. Raider Nation, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. You guys can follow me on Twitter at MitchellRens365, and please subscribe to the Oakland Raiders Report on YouTube. See that link down there, youtube.com/Raiders Report. We're trying to get that to 5,000, 10,000 subscribers, so tell your friends, tell everybody at Raider Nation Games, at Raider Games, hey, subscribe to this awesome YouTube channel, youtube.com/Raiders Report. The next news bit I got for you guys coming up here, it's Worley. He's returning week 5. So, Daryl, well, he's been out the first 4 weeks because he's been serving a suspension. And now he's back, and he practiced today, which is a good sign. That said, as of now, though, he still doesn't count towards the active roster. And, well, I don't know if he's going to be put on for this week necessarily, because he's still got to get acclimated, I think, with the defense all around. But I think ultimately he will be. Now, in terms of will he start, that still will be determined. He would probably fill in for a guy like Leon Hall, who has played, I'll say, okay here and there. But I think Worley ultimately is a young guy, 23. There's a reason why the Raiders traded for him this offseason. And, I mean, I think we can all agree it doesn't hurt to have extra cornerbacks and defensive backs on a team that just gave up 42 points to the Browns. The next news bit I got for you guys coming up here, it's Dwayne Harris. And this guy got an award, and I think it's cool when any Raider gets an award, and I want to give them a shout-out on my show. So, he won the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week because he was, well, I think really good for the Raiders this week when it came to just special teams play. He recorded 5 punt returns for 98 yards and also recorded 2 special teams tackles. He recorded a 49-yard punt return in the fourth quarter that led to a crucial Raiders field goal. That 49-yard return was the longest by a Raider since 2010. That was the longest punt return by a Raiders player since 2010. That's pretty mind-blowing to me. He also drew a crucial holding call in the first quarter that pushed the Browns back to their own 23-yard line. And I don't know if you remember, a few plays later, that led to Garyon Conley's pick 6. Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report, sponsored by BetDSI. If you guys are new to the show, you need to understand my Raider rumor scale. So, 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. This rumor is not going to happen. 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth, 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking 50-50. 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely 75% chance happening. And then 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby, 100% this rumor is going to happen. All right, let's get into that first rumor. And it's the Raiders, they won because of the refs and the refs only. I'm going to give this one 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. And this one is from Hugh Jackson. Now, Hugh Jackson didn't flat out say the Raiders 100% won because of the officials. But he wasn't afraid to point the finger whatsoever at the officials. And he said that he wasn't satisfied with the officials, especially with that last, maybe not the last play of the game, but the Carlos Hyde first down run that was overturned. There's a minute 38 left on the clock. I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about. Carlos Hyde picked up the first down, but then the Raiders, well, it was overturned. Next thing you know is a field goal. And the next thing you know, the Raiders go back down the field, they score. So, I want to know from you guys, did the Browns actually pick up the first down? Hey, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. For me, I'm still going to say that the Browns didn't. There's a few different camera angles that you could go for, but I think the refs, they got it right. So, did the Browns pick up the first down? Y for yes or type N for no? Well, I want to give a shout-out to the refs if they did botch it, because guess what? I won over $50 on BetDSI this past week because I bet on the Raiders over-under, and I bet on the Raiders to win straight up. And you know where I did that at BetDSI? It's the best place to bet on sports games. It's best place to play on anything, really, I think, for NFL, especially the Raiders. But chatsports.com/bet is where you're going to go. You're going to use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. Check out BetDSI. There are good friends there. Chatsports.com/bet. The next rumor I got for you guys coming up here, Bruce Irvin. He played in under 50% of the snaps. Oh, boy. This one I was pretty surprised about when I first read, and ultimately it's one of those that, well, I think when you look at the entire game script, it's you can go back and look at it, but I'm going to give this one for Chucky Heads because he did play in under 50% of the snaps, and he played in 46% of the snaps, and in Week 4 against the Browns, he only racked up 1 tackle. He did have a sack, which was good, but when you're looking at the other players in the game, like Key, Hurst, Rucker, they all played more snaps than Irvin, and Irvin was a guy who I think should be on the field a little bit more. Now, he does give it his very, very all on every single play. I'll give him that. But for a guy who I think you could consider to be one of our best defensive players, I think he needs to be on the field a little bit more than 50% of our defensive snaps. The next rumor is it's laughable to me, and it's the Raiders are going to draft a quarterback in the very first round. And this one's from CBS Sports, and I'm not really surprised, and I'm going to give this one, well, I guess I have to give it one Chucky Head because, sure, there's at least a small chance that this is going to happen. But CBS, they released their mock draft for 2019, and they had the Raiders picking Justin Herbert 6th overall. The exact quote in the article is, with Bosa, Farrell, and Oliver off the board, the Raiders are going to target Justin Herbert to be the potential replacement for Derek Carr. Now, I think Herbert's having a great year. He's been on, a bunch of our shows for college football now as a potential Heisman candidate. I mean, the guy's 6'6", 233. He's I think a product he could be a good product in our offense, I guess I'll say. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to ultimately give up on Derek Carr right away. I mean, here's Justin Herbert's numbers. 1,411 yards, 16 total touchdowns, 14 passing, 2 rushing, and only 5 interceptions on an Oregon team that I think he ultimately does carry. Sorry, Lena. But I just don't think the Raiders are going to give up on Derek Carr quite yet. John Gruden loves Derek Carr, and Justin Herbert, I just don't think it's going to be the answer, especially at 6th overall. The next rumor I got coming up here for you guys, are the Raiders a bottom 5 team? I'm going to give this one. This one's a little bit of a mix for me. So ESPN, all these major companies, they brought out their power rankings, and they have the Raiders as a consensus bottom 5 team, and I just think that's one Chucky Head, small shred of truth. So they are 1-3, I get it, and they are last in the AFC West, which I think is a pretty underrated division. But the Raiders have had a tough schedule thus far. Let's not forget that. I mean, they've played the Rams, they've played the Broncos. Heck, they played an undefeated Dolphins team at the time. So the Raiders, I think, are much better than 1-3. And if they wouldn't have had their bad collapses down at the end of the 4th quarter, this team could easily be 3-1. So do I think they're a bottom 5 team? I do not. All right, guys, I want to know from you, though, how many games will the Raiders win this season? The Raiders are 1-3. I've heard 10. I've heard 11. That's going to be a little bit tough for me. Right now, I'm just going to stick with my initial projection for the Raiders. It was 8 wins coming into the season. So how many games will the Raiders win this season? And if you guys could please comment below, that would be great. Because right now, again, they're sitting at 1-3. So, but hey guys, if you guys want to bet on the Raiders this year, this is where you're going to do it. You got to go to chatsports.com/bet. If you don't use that link, you're not going to get that 120% deposit bonus. And I challenge any of you to find a better deposit bonus on the internet. Use promo code LIVE120 when you go to chatsports.com/bet. Thanks to our good friends over at BetDSI. The next rumor I got for you guys coming up, it's Derek Carr, and is he about to break out? Is Derek Carr about to absolutely break out? I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky Heads. People are talking, and when you look at Derek Carr, I think it's about to click. Like, it's about to click. This guy has been dealt with, I think, a lot of offensive coordinators. He's had a lot of change in his young career. This season, in 2018, 71% completion percentage. Drew Brees broke the NFL completion percentage record last year with 72. Sure, the 7 interceptions, that stings. But the 6 touchdowns, he's averaging over 300 passing yards a game. He's, I think, finally going to start to get comfortable in his new offense. And he's got a lot of talented players. And if Martavis Bryant doesn't drop that touchdown pass, his numbers look even better. But the issue with Carr, it's the interceptions. And right now he does lead the NFL in interceptions with 7. And you can see Andy Dalton, Keenum right there. They got 6 interceptions apiece as well. And then Matt Stafford's there at 5. If Derek Carr can just limit the interceptions, he's putting up great numbers. So if he can limit the mistakes, get a little bit more comfortable in that offense, I think that's when you're really going to see Derek Carr take that next step. Really just take that next step as a quarterback for the Raiders and really just be a better player ultimately. The Raiders are going to be able to rely on him a little bit more. the next Raider rumor I got for you guys coming up, it's Jared Cook. Now, you guys know that I love fantasy football, and is Jared Cook right now going to be the #1 fantasy football tight end by the end of the year? I'm going to give this one to Chucky heads. People are talking. And the reason why people are talking is because actually Jared Cook is the #1 fantasy football tight end. So if anybody drafted him, like me, you're pretty happy with his production. Last week against the Browns, 8 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And when you just look at his catches that he was making, they were clutch as heck. He leads all tight ends with 75 points, and right now he's on pace for 104 catches, 1,480 yards, and 8 touchdowns. These are his numbers straight up this year. 26 catches. The most receiving yards among all tight ends with 370. He leads the Raiders in receiving yards with 370, the 2 touchdowns, and then the yards per catch at 14.2. So, guys, I want to know from you. Over under 1,000 receiving yards for Jared Cook in 2018. He's never done it in his entire career. He's 30 years old, and like I've stated before, he's on pace. He's on pace for 1,480 yards. So, guys, type O for over or type U for under. 1,000 receiving yards for Jared Cook in 2018. Raider Nation, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And, guys, you guys need to subscribe to the new Raiders channel that we got, youtube.com/Raiders Report, because guess why? I started the new segment, and I made my own rumors around things that you guys have said in the comments. So my next 3 rumors are straight from y'all. And if you guys want to be on my segment that I'm going to do every single week, you have to subscribe to the new youtube.com/Raiders Report channel on YouTube. Make sense? You subscribe, you have a chance to come on the show. So